Hi, my name is John Urry. I'm here testing the new Tiger 1200 models for Motorcycle News. Following this little introduction are a couple of videos of me riding the bikes, followed by a chat in the office with Nevesy about their plus and minus points, and most importantly, can they match the mighty BMW GS?
John, you've been on a Tiger 1200 launch.
Yep.
And we're going to have a quick chat about it. But before we do,
Yes.
any one of you out there that wants to read more about this launch, you can read it in MCN with some extra little bits there.
That's there as well.
And but you can download it online as well on the World Wide Web. If you go to our website and click on subscriptions, you can download this and a lot more. So I did this launch a couple of years ago when the Tiger was updated, and back then I was a bit confused with the amount of models there were. And you've just come away from the launch in, where were you?
Spain, Malaga area.
In Malaga.
Almeria.
Almeria, and you've ridden a whole bunch of new ones. So you know, in a nutshell, tell me what it is. What's the new bike?
Right. Well, first of all, it's no longer called a Tiger Explorer.
Right.
It's now a Tiger 1200.
Just a Tiger.
Yeah, because I mean, I think in the history, Triumph had slight confusions over names. There's old T595, wasn't it? Everyone thought it was a 600, but it was actually 900. So now they've called it now the Tiger 1200. So that's the first bridge crossed. Now you've got two models or families as such, a Tiger 1200. You've got the XR, which is the road biased one. You've got the XC, which is the kind of the off-road. Basically, if it's got cast wheels, it's the road bike. It's got spoke wheels, you're off-road.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're kind of essentially identical. But then the confusion starts, because you've got different versions of each family. So on the XR, which is the road one, I have to keep looking down here because this is my crib sheet, which is actually Triumph brochure. It's the only way I can tell what's on what. You've got the basic XR, which is your low spec model. You've got standard suspension on that one, so no semi-active. And it's got a lot of electronics, but the base level is the standard XR. Then you add XRX, which is the first mid-range model. That's got semi-active suspension, a few extras. We'll talk about extras later. That's the mid-range. Then you've got the XRT, which is the full singing, all singing and dancing. Then, to add extra confusion, the XRX comes in a low C-type model, so which is exactly the same, but it's lower on its suspension. It's 20 millimetres lower than the standard one. So
that's 4 models within the road range.
Yep. That's the R models.
And
then you've got the XC, which again, off-road. You've got the XCX, which, well, first of all, there's no base model XC. So you've only got an XCX, which is equivalent to the XRX. So it's sort of the middle of the road R version, but actually it's the lowest spec C version. Basically, it's got semi-active suspension. Then you've got the XCA, which is the top of the range C version. So effectively, you can only get the XC off-road one with semi-active suspension, whereas the XR road one, you get a base model with conventional suspension. Got it?
Well, that's cleared that up. And what have they changed?
Well, the big thing with the Tiger 1200 is they've taken 3 kilograms off the crank and the flywheel assembly.
Right.
So what they've done there is they've basically given the engine quicker revving, so faster on the throttle pickup. The power is 1 or 2 horsepower, torque's effectively the same. The big thing is they've trimmed weight. Now, weight's a big issue for the Tiger, it always has been. Again, we'll probably speak of that one later. So they've taken 3 kilograms off the actual engine, given it freer revving, but then they've thrown the electronic kitchen sink at them.
Right.
If you go for the X or the T models, which are the higher spec ones, they're absolutely loaded with electronics. And to be fair, even the XR base model has got some really good new electronics.
So is that a big step over the old one, electronics-wise?
Electronics-wise, it's more in the adventure market now, it's really important. It's all on the extras you can get and the bits to make it a comfortable, more pleasant riding experience. All the little helpful things, not only traction controls, we're talking hill starts, keyless ignitions, the gizmos. And that Triumph has now got all the gizmos, which they were lacking a few beforehand.
Yeah.
So they've now armed all the Tiger models with stuff so you can actually have everything you want and rival the competition.
So you've got engine changes, we've got more electronics, better electronics. What about chassis-wise?
Chassis is identical, no difference to chassis. I think the cast wheels are different slightly to the old one.
Yeah.
Which actually, this is the 3rd generation, yours was the 2nd one. So it's the 3rd generation. Effectively, the chassis is the same.
Right.
I mean, they talk about weight saving. They're claiming it's 11 kilograms off the top range, but when you look at the base model, I think it saves 2 kilograms than previously. So realistically, The weight savings, little bit of it. It's light in the engine, more responsiveness in the engine, new electronics, and a really good going through of the fuel maps, the basic electronics kind of stuff that make a bike a pleasurable thing to ride.
So the previous 1200 was a lovely bike, probably more road focused really than something like an R1200 GS, I'd say. Quite heavy, but sort of reassuringly heavy. How different to ride are the new ones?
You notice straight away, the weight is still a slight issue. Interestingly, Triumph will not claim a wet weight for the Tiger 1200. They only say a dry weight, and its dry weight is identical to its rivals' wet weights.
Yeah.
So effectively, you've got to think you've got a 20-litre tank, so you're probably going to throw extra weight onto it. So it is still heavier than its rivals. It's got a triple engine, whereas something like the BMW obviously got a lower boxer, so the centre of gravity is going to be higher. Saying that, it doesn't actually feel that heavy. It's heavy when you pick up the side stand, but when you're moving, it feels beautifully balanced. But the big thing you notice on it is the throttle response. It's got an absolutely beautiful throttle response.
That's rare nowadays.
It's a Euro 4 model. Yeah, it's so rare, but it's just lovely. And the whole feeling of the bike is refinement. It just feels lovely and smooth on the throttle. The suspension's plush. Everything works nicely. You just think this is just a really nice, pleasant, lovely bike to ride.
Yeah.
And it handles. Triumphs are very, very good at making good road bikes.
The Lopez brothers that developed these bikes, they're very gifted, aren't they?
Oh, they just, you get on it, you think this is just set beautifully.
Yeah.
You just think this is just a really nice bike to ride on the road. And that's what they've done with this Tiger 1200. They made it even nicer to ride. The engine is a lot more spirited now. You notice it picks up quicker. It's just got a little bit of urgency, which you want. Nothing too much. It's got a nice mid-range, because obviously you've got a triple. It's got a lovely mid-range. It just picks up nicely. But the big thing is the electronics, the way they've integrated it all. I mean, the Tiger 1200, it's the only adventure bike, I think, with an electronic screen. Sounds stupid, this, but really good.
Yeah.
And Triumph's system they've used is the same on the Street Triple. It's also got a digital dash for the first time.
Yep.
Well, the X
Has it got the full colour job?
Yeah, same as the Street Triple.
Yeah.
But they've also integrated the joystick toggle button,
Yep.
which is just on the left-hand handlebar, and everything's really easy to use. What I found was so wonderful was the screen goes up and down via the toggle. So which is actually quite nice. So you haven't got button overload. So you get to the toggle and it remembers where you are set. So you can have it set in screen mode, just go up, down, screen up, down. Then you go left, and the semi-active suspension on it is quite clever because you can alter about 9 different settings within the semi-active. So you can have obviously rider mode. So if you put it into a sporty mode, the suspension's slightly firmer. Then you can go in via the toggle button and drop the suspension damping, which was lovely. So you can leave it in a riding mode. And you go along, you just go, oh, we're on the motorway, up goes the screen, down goes the suspension settings, nice plush ride.
Nice plush.
Come the corners, lower the screen, up the suspension thing, and it's one of the few bikes when I've been riding along, I've actually done it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a fan of power modes as such, I just leave it in whatever mode.
Yeah.
But I actually found myself altering suspension, looking at the road thinking, oh, it's a bit bumpy, I'll drop a bit of suspension.
Yeah.
And the same with the screen, up and down the motorway, and it's really easy, and that was lovely on it. I mean, the problem is, though, I had a couple of criticisms on the Tiger, and it might be sounding harsh on this, but they've got all these electronics. Like if you get the T, which is the version we rode, is the full spec one. I mean, I've got the list here. It's incredible what you got on it. You've got the TFT dash, you've got a keyless ignition, you've got cruise control, you've got riding mode, you've got semi-active suspension, you've got cornering ABS, cornering traction control, hill hold control, heated grips and seat, electric screen, shift assist up and down. So you've got...
It's a fair amount of toys.
You struggle to think of anything they missed.
Yeah.
Then you look at the fuel cap, and you have to get the key out.
Right.
So you've got a keyless ignition,
Which
is just a bit silly.
Yeah.
And I had a little whinge about this as well. It's got self-cancelling indicators, and you put the self-cancelling indicator on, it cancels itself a little bit too quickly, which I think's, again, it's a little irritation. Yeah. But you look at what the rival's got, it's got everything you could possibly need, really, especially the T version. The Tiger is now a sort of a genuine contender.
Yeah.
But the hard thing is you talk numbers. You know, BMW sell as many GS 1200s as Triumph make motorcycles. So you can see why Triumph want to go bigger into the market because there's a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's still going to be a small player in the market. But it's a lovely bike.
What about the off-road version? How's that off-road?
Well, the XC, I have a slight problem with the XC. They call it the off-road version, and you don't get knobbly tyres on it. They recommend a tyre. Triumph say you can fit this tyre to our bike. The dealer won't fit it. Like the GS, you get an option. You can have a knobbly tyre or you can have a road tyre. So Triumph won't do that. So you buy it on road tyres. Now the XC gains like crash bars, a sump bung, a sump protector, a few billet foot pegs, a few off-road kind of things, and the spoke wheels. But other than that, it's the same as the XR. So you don't get longer travel suspension, and you also don't get a large tank. So you've basically got a bike that I think they say it's 248 kilograms dry, plus 20 litres of fuel as an off-road bike. And for me, that's a lot of weight for an off-road bike. And then you add in the fact the suspension doesn't have extra travel into it. If you hit some rocks and stuff, you can start, if you take a little jump, you're going to hit the sump plug on the ground. But there again, if you're talking gravel drives, just gravel fire tracks, the electronic assists, so you've got an extra power mode in off-road. So you've got off-road and off-road pro. Now off-road mode keeps the ABS on the front, disables ABS on the rear, and gives you traction control. And for inexperienced off-roaders, it's great because you can go like that, go on throttle, you get a little slide, but the traction control captured. So you can, that's really nice. Yeah. But you still got 270 kilogram of bike.
And
probably.
Also, how much is that bike? Are you really going to be taking your
£16,000, 150, so 17 grand. It's a bit
probably
much
not.
that. No, and then you can then go beyond that and turn to off-road pro, which gives you no traction control, no ABS, and that's too much for me. But the main thing for me with the XC is, yes, they're marketing it as an off-road style, it's got our wheels, but they haven't done anything to really make it off-roady. And for me, a big adventure bike should have a larger tank. You've got the GS Adventure has a 30-litre tank. The Ducati Super Enduro, is it? The big Multistrada model. Yeah. That's got a 30-litre tank. So the KTM model's a 30-litre tank. And they've all got longer travel suspension. Now, I don't want to go off-road, but I love a 30-litre tank. And people buy the GS Adventure because you've got a 30-litre tank and a 300-mile tank range. But the XC, it's just like the XR. It's a great bike. It looks really cool with its spoke wheels. I just think they've missed a trick by not giving it proper adventure tank and suspension settings.
So out of all these models, there's 6 basic versions and another 2 if you were to sort of cut them up. So which is the one to go for?
I like to go say high spec. You get the full. The XRX has got everything.
So that's the road version with all the toys thrown in.
The XRT is the full Monty. The XRX is, you get a couple extra things on the T, like an arrow silencer, little things make a litre. So the T, the full spec is always the best one to go for, resale values as well. Just strangely enough, I'd actually have the XCA, which is the full spec off-roady side. Just I think the wire wheels look cool.
Yes, because it looks of it.
Because you get the same tyres, same basic bike, slight crash bars and slightly cooler wheels, which is nice.
Talking of price, what the range are we looking at? They were in December 2017 now.
Yeah, so the 18 price range is the basic Tiger1200 XR is just over 12,000. So that's 12,200 quid. No semi-active suspension, but you do get a few riding modes, basic ABS traction control, not variable, and you get an electric adjustable screen, but no LCD dash. You go up, it's about £2,000 more to get the XRX, it's 14,150, and then 16,150, so another 2 grand to get the XRT, so you're talking 2 grand increments in that one. Whereas the XC, which is the off-roady one, the midway one is 14,950, the top of the range is 16,950. And GS is the TE, I think is the top range GS. I think that is just over 16 grand, so it's just a touch more than GS, but you actually get more electronics on it. You get more things like heated seats, you get heated grips to stand on the Triumphs. There are a few electronic bits on and of course the dash. You have to pay extra for the GS's dash. So you do actually get enough to justify the slight premium on the Triumph when it comes to
It'd be easier if it was just one model and you could tick the options boxes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you wonder why they don't do that. If life was simple.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be testing these again against the rivals in the coming months. But in the meantime, I think thanks very much for that. And I'm going to go and research the models. Test me later.
Yeah, I'll do it.